From tornadoes to hurricanes, blizzards, and everything in between, you're listening to the Stormfront Freaks podcast. The Stormfront Freaks are former television meteorologist Mark Massaro, atmospheric science graduate and Skywarn storm spotter Brady Harris, digital meteorologist and weather producer on the Weather Channel app Dina Knightley, former on-camera meteorologist at the Weather Channel Kim Cunningham, and I'm your announcer and Skywarn network coordinator Mark Johnson. Now, here's the moderator of the Stormfront Freaks podcast, Skywarn storm spotter and chaser Phil Johnson.
All right, hey, welcome to the most entertaining weather podcast on your listening and viewing device. This is the Stormfront Freaks podcast. If you are a first-time listener, hey, thanks for checking us out and stopping by. Be sure to go to stormfrontfreaks.com, and you can access our library of previous shows, famous guests from the weather industry like Mark Sudduth, Reed Timmer as well. But this is episode 62. And we're excited to be talking with the lead of the Atmospheric Sciences Group at NASA's Flight Research Center. Ed Teets is with us tonight.
All right.
And so as all of our guests, he'll be getting a lightning round game show treatment. We'll also be sharing with you our favorite WX resources and some hilarious and funny weather memes. But before we get to all that, let's go ahead and introduce our co-hosts. It's always happy hour here at Stormfront Freaks when we record, and so we're going to find out what everybody's drinking tonight. MJ up in Minnesota, what are you drinking, sir?
All right, it's a root beer and Captain again, which is the drink that was made for me that night, and I'm trying to remember what it was called, but that's what I got.
Ooh,
what was it called?
Yeah,
I
don't know. I don't remember that either.
I forgot.
Was it
MJ's
Captain Beer?
Something. Yeah. MJ Storm Spotter, is that maybe what it was, I think?
That might be it, yes.
MJ Storm Spotter. All right, Maz, what do you got, sir?
Well, I went Captain as well, but
Oh,
with regular Coke. I'm off my diet, so what the heck? Might as well pour the sugar in me.
Off the wagon. All right, Kim, what are you drinking?
I'm off the diet too. I'm back to the old IPAs. This is the Cannon Dragger from Burnt Hickory Brewery, which is right up the street from me. And it's really good. So it's kind of cool. It goes like Civil War stuff. So it's, if you can see.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Just up the street.
Yeah.
That's handy.
Isn't that awesome?
That is handy. Right. Need
Anyway,
a six-pack, just take
how
a
it
block walk.
Exactly.
You're
They
good
have
to go.
tastings and all that. It's good.
Well, Kim, I will keep it with you and go ahead and let's give our guest his formal introduction.
Okay, you got it. All right, Mr. Ed Teets, who is the atmospheric scientist with NASA's Flight Research Projects. He is currently the senior aviation meteorologist and the lead of the Atmospheric Sciences Group at the NASA Neil A. Armstrong Flight Research Center at Edwards Air Force Base. And Ed has been directly involved with a varying degree of aircraft over the years. Now, these include the slow-flying, high-altitude UASs, or the unmanned aircraft systems, to high-performance jets, to Mach 10-plus hypersonic research flight demonstrators. He has also been a part of the aerodynamics branch at Armstrong for the past 31 years, specializing in atmospheric effects on aviation. And I know Dina's just hating to miss this one for sure. Now, Ed has his BS in meteorology from the University of Utah and his MS in atmospheric physics from the University of Nevada, Reno. And Ed, welcome. We are so honored to have you here with us tonight. And we'd like to ask, our guests and our viewers are always curious, how did you get to where you are today? I mean, 31 years. Is this something right from college, right into this, or was there something in between? Did you always love weather? Where are you from? All those kind of details we'd love to get.
In 10 seconds or less. Go.
In 10 seconds or
Okay.
less.
First of all, I'm drinking a Stone IPA for you guys.
Very good.
Yes!
Forgot to ask me.
Yay!
Yeah, I grew up in a little town north of Pittsburgh, and I moved out to Utah just to go skiing. And while I was there, I figured I might as well go to school. As for weather, I think my parents would probably say that they knew I was going to be in weather before I did. I would have to leave the dinner table as a young kid to run and watch the weather from my hero, Dr. Joe DiNardo, recently passed away, but he was a great guy. Channel 4 News. Anyway, I get to college and was taking a bunch of classes, thought I was going to business, boring. Thought I'd do a few other things. And then I took a class in meteorology, and the professor about halfway through said, "You're killing this. Have you ever thought about meteorology?" And I went, "Yeah." He said, "Follow me over to the department." Walked over to the department, and an hour later, I had declared my major.
That's awesome.
And as for coming here, I wasn't even graduated yet, and I had a job here. I was a contractor for my first 12 years, and then I became a civil servant back in 1999. This is the only job I've ever had. Well, I shouldn't say a job because I don't work. I play.
Yeah.
I have fun.
Wow.
How
With all the
wonderful is
things,
that?
I can't even describe the fun that we've had. We get. I'm headed for deployment here in about a month down to Texas for Sonic Boom. We get the Sonic Boom Galveston out in Texas.
Oh my gosh.
Last year we got to boom Cape Canaveral, where the shuttle always launched. So they were used to it, but without the shuttle there for many years, they weren't hearing the booms. So we went down there. We were down there about 3 weeks. The people were just so excited about us coming down because we told them we're going to be sonic booming you 3 to 6 times a day. They were excited. Welcome, welcome, welcome. 3 weeks later, they're like, "When the hell are you getting out of here?"
What's the purpose of that? What was the purpose of all the sonic booms? And
the sonic booms were, at the time, it was a project called Sonic Bat. So it was understanding the sonic booms as the boom translated through a humid atmosphere. And in Florida in August, it's a humid atmosphere.
Yeah.
And the year before, we did that out at Edwards in a dry atmosphere. So now in Texas, we're going to be booming, but we're not going to be giving them the full pressure, overpressures. We're going to be making it so it sounds like distant thunder. And now that's going to be a basically how the people perceive the sonic boom. Because as you probably have heard over the last several months, the X-59, I sent you a picture about that. The X-59 is going to be our low boom demonstrator. So you shape an aircraft that you produce a boom, nothing more than a thunderstorm. And so we're trying to get the people's perception of these booms, or not booms, but so it's a human factor issue at this point.
So it's kind of a social study for
yes,
the most part?
For this part.
So what's your role as an atmospheric scientist? What's your role involved in that?
Well, the atmosphere measurements, because we provide a lot of model data for simulation. We provide the real atmosphere so they can go back and figure out exactly how strong the booms were, where they were, because there's a gridding that the further away from what's called the carpet, the boom carpet. Anything beyond that, it just basically sounds like like thunder. So we provide a balloon launch. We'll launch balloons, probably 2 or 3 per flight. We'll take surface measurements, so we get winds and pressures, and just collect as much data as we can.
Are you booming like 50,000 feet, or are you mad at the neighbors and do it at 50 feet? I mean, what are you doing?
No, they'll be booming. I think in Texas about 30s, mid to upper 30s. But we'll do a boom in what we call a dive, so that the boom stays off the coast this time. In Florida, we put the boom right pretty much on the coast, but here we want the boom off the coast so that the outside of the carpet, if you will, the thunder is what we want them to hear. We don't want them to get the full boom, because that would terrify people, and they're not ready for that.
But break windows too, right?
Not at those altitudes.
Oh,
we wouldn't. No, but I have. I don't know. There was maybe about 10 years ago, the Air Force the flight demo team flying down in Tucson. One of the guys got a little bit behind and tried to catch up 500 feet off the ground over the city of Tucson. I think 300 windows got broken.
Oh,
no
It can be pretty strong.
Oh yeah.
Do you let them know? Because there's a song called "Here Comes the Boom." Are you like blasting it on speakers before you do it, or how do people know?
I think for the one in Texas, no. It's basically we're going to be telling them when we're going to be booming, approximate time. I think we're each giving the residents who we've selected phones, so they can call in and say, "Not too bad, a thunder. We've heard louder thunder," or "Boy, that was a pretty strong thunder roll." Just trying to get the residents' perspective of what they heard. So it's human factors.
How does that help? So what's that going to help you determine in the future?
That's outside my information. That's outside my interest, actually. That's a human factor. People let those
You're saying you
engineers
don't
take care of
care.
that.
You
I don't
even care about that.
I don't give a
I
damn.
don't care. Yeah. I'm
I'll
launching
tell you, but I'd
balloons,
have to
collecting
kill you.
data, and hearing thunder roll. Isn't that a song too?
What are some of the more? Tell us some of the more dangerous projects that you have been involved with, Ed.
Dangerous?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of testing, so I'd imagine
Right.
there are some things that you go into not really knowing what the results are going to be.
It's all redacted, right?
I don't think anything's been dangerous.
Nothing too bad. Okay.
Now, the only danger I think is whether or not I'm gonna get enough sleep. So some of the projects are pretty long.
Well, I guess then tell me this: what are some of the bigger discoveries that you've been involved with all the testing that you have done? What are some of the things you feel really good about finding out about?
Well, a lot of the sonic boom work that we've done over the past 20 years, I guess, understanding the booms that come off the different, anything that has a protrusion on an airplane produces a sonic boom. What we hear on the ground is basically a boom boom. We hear the front of the airplane and we hear the back of the airplane. But if you're 50 feet underneath an airplane and it passes you, you're going to hear every crease, every protrusion. You're going to hear a little boom coming from it. But you're going to hear the most of the booms. The biggest one coming from the beginning and the end, because by that time all the small booms have coalesced into one front boom and back boom.
How many booms are we talking about?
Exactly.
Well, the signature. Well, I think I've seen some data where, I don't know, 30 little booms that all coalesce to make one boom boom. A lot of the work that I've been involved in is the UAV work. A lot of the work in the UAVs.
And explain that a little bit.
The UASs?
Yep.
Yep. Well, they're unmanned vehicles, which means that they're expendable. So you don't have to go through all the mundane safety, double, triple redundancies, control panel, control systems. UAVs, you can go one. And some of these UAVs, if you make them big enough, they basically fly by themselves. The one UAV we flew in Hawaii called the Helios, we actually flew it to 96,000 feet over the island of Kauai.
Wow.
Yeah. And that airplane, I sent a picture to Phil on that. I don't know if you can pull it up and show it on the screen, but that airplane alone was 250 feet long. So it was just 50 feet shy of a football field. And it would take off in, I think, about a 50-foot distance. And it had a ground speed, you could outrun it. About 30 feet per second was its total speed. Wow. Very, very slow flyer. That flight was, each of those flights were probably 27 hours. So we really got to be able to learn a lot about the UAV, flying them around, because FAA, we're trying to fly a lot of these UAVs now over the airspace. And that was a nice first, actually that was one of the first flights, the first UAVs that we worked on that were able to be very, very succevsual.
So what would you provide for that as far as a meteorologist?
Same thing. Balloon launches, even though we're not official forecasters in our group, we usually, and if there's anybody in National Weather Service watching, we usually do a better job than they are.
Smackdown. I just heard it.
Yeah, we have battles with them. It's all fun. It's all fun, and they know that.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm showing the picture you sent.
Yes, that's a Helios.
Wow.
The Helios.
It's a solar-powered airplane.
Explain this, what it looks like to those that are listening.
Yeah, it's a solar-powered airplane. That particular one, each of those has, I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 panels. And each of those panels are designed to fly by themselves if it was to break apart. And there's all those motors. All those motors are electric powered. That airplane alone, being 250 feet long, only weighed 1,500 pounds because it was all carbon fiber.
So basically, it's one curved wing, kind of
it's curved because it's curved for stability, but on the ground it's actually curved the other way. It's got reverse camber on the ground.
Okay. But so it's the wing. It's like one wing.
It's one big wing.
Solar panels on the top.
Yep.
And then so how many sections? You said about 6 sections?
Yeah, I'm trying to
and
count.
Each section has
One,
what,
two, three,
two electrical
4, 5,
propellers?
6. 3.
3, okay.
2 or 3, depending on it.
It's just weird. It's bizarre.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. Looks like 6 sections, yeah.
How you getting a sonic boom from that?
You don't. But I'll tell you that at 96,000 feet, its airspeed, if you want to do the Mach, is 0.25 Mach at 96,000 feet.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. And we always try to fly it. One of the things that we were doing in my job was, understanding the winds, because we had to keep it in a certain airspace because we couldn't get it outside of the airspace for FAA purposes. So we were always trying to make sure that we had the solar panels facing the sun. So we would start early in the morning and head out west as far as we could. And then we'd lose some performance because we had to turn around, for coming back. Now, that particular aircraft, if the winds are too strong, we push us outside the boundary. We can't come back because we don't have the solar power, and the winds we're going to fight the winds, and we're going to lose lift. So understanding the meteorology of all the atmosphere over a 27-hour period, it becomes kind of evolved. So we would have to do a lot of forecasting. And the models down there in Hawaii, we were, of course, in Hawaii.
Oh, rough.
You don't have, it was a rough job. Somebody had to
Poor
do it.
thing.
Yeah, my golf game got good. I'll say that.
I'm sure it did.
There you go.
So
Bonus.
what is the purpose of this?
Well, that
solar
was
paneled?
that particular airplane was trying to be used for cell phone communication. Basically, they had an idea that they could fly these things to 90,000 feet or 70,000 feet, get it above all the commercial airplane, and basically station keep, because we could actually fly that airplane backwards if we wanted to station keep. So you could fly it up, get it into the jet stream, find a good wind level, and station keep. Basically, point it into the sun, and you could turn it in any given direction. And at night, and then you could stay there and have good cell communication for your location. So they had plans of putting them all over the United States, all over the world. One of the big investors at the time was from Japan.
If our listeners want to see this, just go to Google. I did a search, looked up.
Right, you can look up any picture.
Aircraft, yeah.
Yeah, any picture that I have there is all public domain because we're NASA.
Did you mention, I might have missed it, Ed, but did you mention how long this could stay in the air?
Oh, no, I didn't. The desire for that one was about 6 months. They figured 6 months with losing some performance at nighttime, but they would have batteries on board. So they would have solar power, charge the batteries, get up high, and then loiter. Very little power to come down, maybe go to 80 and then come down to about 60 in the evening, in the morning. Sun comes up, charge batteries, climb up high again, do this day in, day out.
Now, it's been years since I forecast for 90,000 feet.
Yeah.
What kind of winds are we talking about up there?
Well, it depends on the season, obviously. But in Hawaii, we were seeing easterlies, but by the time you get above the tropopause, or the 38,000, 40,000 feet, depending where you were, the winds in the summertime will reverse direction. So instead of being westerly everywhere, they go easterly. And the higher you get, the stronger the easterlies they become. And I think down there at the time, we were seeing probably 70, 80 knot winds at 90,000 feet. So we could actually fly very slow into the wind and station keep, because the sun would be setting and we would never lose or even go outside our airspace.
Yeah.
If I was to show a map of where we had to fly to keep in the airspace, it would be quite a racetrack.
Are you constantly updating your forecast? Like, whoa, look what happened at 85,000.
Always.
Really?
Always. Lots of balloons. We were launching like every 2 hours. The models, every time they came upon us, we were looking for that. Plus, we had a problem where we had to bring the aircraft down, too. The aircraft, anything stronger than about 5 knot winds became a problem. And in Hawaii, where we were, the winds were crosswind. And that is a big problem for us. So we were always trying to plan when we were coming down, when the winds were the lightest, so we could land this thing.
Not a lot of bird strikes up there, though, right?
No. But we had some fun with some birds, as we call them.
So, Ed, how about this one? You sent another picture. It says NASA X-43.
Yeah, that's our
like a black dart. Explain this one.
That one's called the Hyper X. That was our first attempt at scramjet engines. We
what
flew
kind
that
of engines? What was
scramjet,
that?
hypersonic engines, hypersonic propulsion.
Which means what?
The air is. I'm not a propulsion guy, but if I remember correctly, no, I can't remember. You have to talk. You could look it up. It's a scramjet.
Okay.
But basically, our goal was to demonstrate that we could get acceleration from that engine. So the vehicle didn't make any difference. It was all about the engine. And for us to get 10 seconds of data was extremely valuable. So it was all about getting a couple of seconds of data and seeing acceleration. That was the whole goal.
And this was unmanned as well, correct?
Yes, they were. This thing is only about 20 feet long. And it was accelerated initially off of a Pegasus rocket, dropped off of a B-52. You can Google that too. There's video out there of the flights. Everything NASA does is all public domain, so you can see videos of it. So we did this. The first one we got to Mach 6, and the second one we got to Mach 10 plus.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so how long is this, for example, this particular project, how long were you involved in it?
Oh boy, that was about a 5-year, 6-year project. We flew 3 times.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah. First one was not good.
What happened?
The Pegasus. Well, I'm not gonna. I think it was the Pegasus rocket couldn't handle the forces as it nosed up, and the fins on the back of the rocket, if I remember correctly, broke off and lost the vehicle.
It was unmanned, right?
Oh yeah, they're all unmanned.
Okay. All right.
That thing's only like 19 feet long, maybe about 2 feet wide or 2 feet thick.
So it was more of a rocket issue. It wasn't the
Yes,
aircraft. Yeah,
that's
okay.
correct.
Okay,
But one and the same, tied together.
True.
Do you ever get people seeing it, going up into the atmosphere and calling it in and saying, there's something weird out there flying around?
No, not really. Not for
Yeah.
us, because most of ours are done where there's nothing, nobody.
Okay. Yeah.
It's
far
because it's
away from the
actually
population.
it's actually an alien aircraft, isn't it?
Yeah, right. Everything's alien, but I can't say that.
So I want to real quick go back to the boom
Okay.
project. So you have to supply the weather information for it. How do you decide like what time of the day? Is there a certain time of day you look for? I mean, how do you make these decisions? And I guess, and are you going to do in the cold, are you going to also try, doing the testing with the booms in a cold atmosphere?
No, we're not doing a cold atmosphere on these projects.
Okay.
With the demonstrator, which comes 2020, I think the demonstrator comes available. When we start flying it, we will fly in all conditions.
Okay.
Hey Kim, he
Yes.
can't golf in the cold, so it's never happening.
Yeah, shoot. I should have thought that. My bad. But
as
how do you
for
do- time
for
of
your
day,
other
stuff like
question,
that, yeah.
as for your other question, it all depends upon when the vehicle, when the aircraft are ready. We don't really
Okay.
need. It's not a particular time of day.
Okay.
We need it within, a half an hour of the airplane at altitude, on
Okay.
condition. So if we know that the airplane is going to take off at 8 o'clock, then we can launch at 7:30, so it gets to 60,000 feet within an hour.
Okay.
So it's all going to depend upon when the aircraft is ready, because of maintenance and the pilots and things like that. Because we're flying an F-18 for that mission.
Wow.
That's our sonic boom generators, an F-18.
Wow. Okay.
So
All
Ed,
right.
I got a quick question for you, Ed.
Okay.
So you're on an Air Force base, pretty much,
Yes,
right?
correct.
So were you ever Air Force, or were you always civilian, or how does that all work?
There's probably more civilians out there than there are
Really?
Air Force and military. Yeah, I'm thinking so. Because it's a test facility. They do a lot of development. They're developing the F-35 right now out there.
Yeah.
And I believe the future tanker is coming out there. So I've never been military. I came right out of college, moved right down there, right the day I graduated. 2 days later, I was gone. So it's, just a lot of both civilian. I was a contractor first, civil servants, basically contractors. They're all kind of the same.
Was it civil through the Air Force, like AFCS, or was it just government? or how does that
To
work?
the Air Force?
Yeah.
I have no idea how the Air Force works.
Okay. Gotcha.
No, I'm a NASA civil servant, so it's a big difference.
Now you're just showing off. Okay.
So you were talking about, did you say it's called the demonstrator?
Yes.
Is that what? So what is, explain that aircraft a little bit?
The low boom demonstrator. It's
Yeah,
just
what does
it's
it
a
look like,
vehicle.
or what's it?
Yeah, it's a vehicle. You have a picture of that too, but it's a picture
Okay.
where it's a vehicle where you shape the different components of the airplane, the nose, the tail, the wings, such that when the boom, you generate a boom that is a lot less of a signature. There's a project we did several years ago where we modified the airplane, not that one.
No.
You modified the airplane. That's a X-29. But you modified the shape of the airplane so that the sonic boom is generated almost like a split second. If you can distribute that boom over time, because of the area under the curve with all the math, the boom is a lot less, and it's a lot less irritating. So it sounds like a thunder or a truck driving by.
Can I ask you a differential equations question?
No.
Good, because I can't. I'm just telling you.
God, man. I couldn't even ask that. I took that class a year ago.
Yeah, it's like,
Say add a viewer question for you if you know.
Is it one of
they
my
asked-
friends, first of all?
Pardon?
Is it one of my friends?
depends on the question.
Is there horrible people?
No, actually, it's one of our regular
Okay.
viewers from
Good.
Germany.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. And the question was, any thought to using, so back to the Helios,
Okay.
any thought to using that for emergency or disaster communications? Was that ever considered in the project?
Yes, it is. It's one of those vehicles where you can go and station keep. Absolutely, absolutely. There's a lot. We actually did some testing because where we were in Hawaii, over Kauai, they grow a lot of coffee. Yeah. So one of the things the coffee growers said, hey, can we use this vehicle for monitoring health of our coffee plants? We're like, well, I don't know. So they found an instrument. We put it on there. We flew over the coffee fields and provided them some pictures, and the coffee growers were like, wow, this is sweet. So yes. And my father-in-law is a vineyards up in Oregon, and he's like, hey, we could use that vehicle for flying over the vineyards and seeing the health, because they can tell how much water is given to the plants or how much water needs to be given to the plants, so they can monitor with a variety of instruments, the health of the plants. Wow. So you can use this thing could be used for so many different things.
Awesome, thanks.
Yep.
That's really exciting. Yeah.
Dina is missing this one tonight.
I
Right?
know.
Oh, no doubt.
Vineyard, tucking wine.
Oh, for that reason. Yeah, wine
Right.
and flight.
Not together. Not together.
Oh no. Not at all.
So explain a little bit. So I had shared a photo.
Sure.
Of this what's it?
That's the X-29.
Groomer?
And
okay.
That is a forward swept. Most airplane wings are swept back. But this is a forward swept wing, and what they were, that was there when I first started. So my knowledge on that is not too great. But what that does is it makes the aircraft not very, but it makes it unstable. And the more unstable the vehicle, the more maneuverable the vehicle is. So if you were to have a fighter, let's say you have a fighter out there that's unstable, you can maneuver it very, very quickly. So you could outmaneuver your opponent.
Okay. And so this was a man. This was a man.
This was a man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called again the what?
X-29.
That does it. I think that means it's time for our lightning round. And before we get into that, Ed, can you tell listeners and viewers how they can find you or follow you? Are you on social media, or if they have questions, how can they?
Not very much on social media.
Okay.
I am when public affairs calls me and says, "Hey, we got a Twitter day." I'll sign into I'll spend an hour looking for my password to get into my account. But I get in very little. Facebook I have, but it's all I get in there maybe once or twice a year for cycling and skiing pictures, but that's
okay.
That's why I never get a birthday wishes from you. I'm just saying right now. Right?
yeah.
You're not missing much, Ed. You're not missing much.
He's off
Let me
the
write that
grid.
down. I'll put you on my Christmas card list this year.
He's off the
Appreciate
grid.
it.
So I'll say this: if any of our listeners or viewers, if they have questions, go ahead and reach us. You can reach us email at questions@stormfrontfreaks.com, and we'll make sure we pass those on to Ed as well if you got any questions for him.
I'm
But
sure
like I
if you
said,
I'm sure if you Googled me online, you'd find an email address or some way to contact me. It's
you'd find something. Whether it
public
works could be a
domain.
different question.
Yeah, that's
but,
another question.
That's it. So.
Oh,
All right, so it is our time for our lightning round. So this is our game show.
yeah, I saw it.
Flashy questions for our guest, and we always invite you to play along as well. But we're going to be covering tonight. I found out in talking with Ed, he does visit Las Vegas on a fairly regular basis via his bike. He just feels like I'll bike 150 miles or so to Vegas today. He does it in a day.
Gosh.
Take
Oh,
the
not a
X-
motorcycle.
He said
the
8 hours.
X29 out for a spin.
Wow.
Not a motorcycle, like
No.
a bicycle.
A bicycle. Yeah.
Cycle. Yeah, and you said you do that in what, 8 hours?
It's about 8-hour ride.
8 hours.
Oh my
Crazy.
Wow.
gosh.
So Ed, here's what we're gonna do tonight. We're gonna play a little Las Vegas $100,000 pyramid.
Oh boy.
And so what we're gonna do is this. So I looked up on Ranker.com. I found the best Las Vegas movies as ranked by Ranker.com, and so we have got our freaks. 3 of our freaks have one of the top 5 movies, and so their goal is to, in roughly about, we'll say maybe 10 to 15 seconds or so, their goal is to try and get you to guess this famous Las Vegas movie without saying the name of the movie. So they might give you, if they're familiar with the actors in the movie, or they might use maybe what it's about. And then your goal is to just try and guess what they're coming up with. We'll give you, we'll give you 10, 15 seconds. We'll see how generous our officials and judges feel tonight. So I'm going to do this. We're going to start off number 5 on the list. MJ has. So MJ,
right.
you are up. You are on the clock. And I'm going to say go.
Dustin Hoffman, Raymond.
Rain Man?
Very good, Rain Man. All right.
Nice
So
job.
Nice
we're
job.
one for one. All right. So I'm going up the list. This is number 2 as far as best Las Vegas movies. Kim has this one.
Okay.
So Kim, if you are ready,
I'm ready.
go.
All right. Bachelor party. Dentist.
Hangover.
That's it.
Wow.
Very good. Very good. You are on a roll. Okay. So the third and the final one, this is the number 1 movie on the list. Maz happens to have this. So Maz, are you ready to roll?
I hope so.
All right. Ready? Go.
George Clooney, Las Vegas heist, hyphenated.
Is that Oceans 10, 11, 12, or 13?
Yes.
I
It
can't
was
remember the
Ocean's
numbers.
11. It was, it was Ocean's
No
11.
Viva Las Vegas?
Nice.
You know, that was not top 5. It was not top 5. In
What about
fact,
Con Air?
Con Air was top. That wasn't top 10 though. It was like 11th or 12th on the
really?
list.
Okay.
So I tried to be safe, and I'm like, we got to be able to get top 5 out of that list. The other 2 that we didn't cover, number 3 on the list was Casino. Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci,
That would have been
Sharon
tough.
Stone. I think that was
Oh, yeah.
Casino. And then number 4 on the list was a Chevy Chase favorite,
Oh, yeah.
part of a
Vacation?
series, Vegas Vacation.
Vacation.
Yep.
Yeah.
What about my cousin Vinny? You know, he's
That
from
was
Utah.
Alabama.
He was
That was
from
like New
Alabama.
York.
these
Wrong.
2 Utes.
Yeah. No use.
Well, good. Well, excellent job. Excellent job on that, Ed. You were 3 for 3, so you did outstanding. So we're going to go ahead and take a short break. Go ahead and refill your drink. We'll be right back with some exciting WX resources and the funny weather memes that you'll be sharing all week with your friends.
All right, welcome back. Well, you have no idea what you miss on these breaks. I'm just telling you right now, you got to be watching this live. But anyway, hey, welcome back. We're at episode 62. Time now for WX resources. Very cool places you can find very cool stuff related to weather. And kicking us off for today, Brady, go ahead. What do you got?
So I have Basically, sorry, there's a video playing in the background. There is a fellow on Twitter. His name is Josh Morgaman. Some of you may know him. His Twitter handle is @iCyclone, and he goes around the world from basically hurricane to hurricane, trying to get in the worst of the worst conditions. He actually was in Florence, and then there was a typhoon in the Pacific that you can see right here. Oh no, that was Maria. Sorry, but that typhoon was called.
They all look the same on radar anyway.
Yeah, Mancoots. I'm totally mispronouncing that name, but anyway, he literally switched positions from Florence, flew to the Philippines in like a day, and experienced that. And basically, he like tries to live tweet it until he loses communication. But this guy just is absolutely insane. Follow him on Twitter. I mean, here I'll show you. This was his Maria footage from Puerto Rico. I mean, this guy tries to get in the center of the storm. No, it doesn't matter the category. It doesn't matter where it is. If there's a category 1 or greater hurricane, this guy is there anywhere in the world. Absolutely crazy. I mean,
oh my gosh,
the footage he gets is breathtaking, and I don't know how he's still alive, to be honest.
Right.
Because when you're in the center of a Category 5 hurricane, that is serious stuff. So give this guy a follow. He actually went dark after the typhoon in the Philippines for about a day or two, and no one thought. I mean, people thought he was dead.
Yeah.
Because he hadn't tweeted in a while. So that's definitely worth the follow if you're looking for some hurricane entertainment.
I did, just so you know, Brady. I did last Friday. I actually sent him a Facebook Messenger message to say, "Hey, you wanna be a guest once everything kind of cools down a little bit? Reach out." And we're still waiting.
Yeah. I'd like.
But he's been busy, so it's.
I'd like to pick his brain and just figure out what's going on up there, and how. That's some courage, Wow.
Does he have his will done?
I don't know.
Hope so.
Okay.
I don't know.
Just check
His-
it.
Go ahead and get your number out,
I can
man.
even imagine like his mom or his dad are they probably lose it.
Right.
I mean,
You know it. Oh,
All right, very
gosh.
cool. Thank you, Brady. Kim.
Okay, I am going to also keep with the tropics theme, and
Yes.
cool. All right. So this is actually called a hurricane forecast model output, and it's from the University of Wisconsin in Milwaukee.
Of course.
And of course,
You think
and
hurricanes? You think University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee?
exactly.
You think old
Good
Milwaukee.
point. All those Sims, I mean, all that's great tropical stuff is from up there. derecho.math.uwm.edu/models is where you find this. And what's cool about this page is that if you're trying to learn more about the computer models, or a lot about them and you just really want to see what they've been doing with all these tropical systems, this is the place to go. I mean, this is great. So it has all the active tropical activity right now that's going on. But if you scroll down on the home page, you can actually look, let's say the North Atlantic, there's Invest 97. You click on this and you could put the model tracks on there, the ensemble tracks, the intensity forecast, all that for any system you want that's out in the tropics right now currently. But also what's cool is the archived or historical maps. You click on that and you can go back, I believe, to 1979 and pick any tropical system that was either a depression or a storm or a hurricane, and click on it and it'll show you what the computer models were saying for that tropical system. And I went back, to which was kind of cool to go back to 2005, of course, season, which was insane, and looked at Katrina. And you go to this and you just click on that. You go to Katrina, you hit display, and then you can, pick a date, let's say October 17th, and you can see what the computer models were saying on that day.
That's cool.
And everything's, and you can go, and it takes you every day until landfall and beyond landfall. And it's just, I think it's such a great resource to have. And so that's there, but also, let me go back. This is kind of cool. The model identifiers, it tells you all about the computer models. When they come out, they describe, what the dynamical models are, and then also the acronyms. and tells you what it is and how many times per day, or how many times a day it comes out. The dynamical models, consensus models, they're all in here, and even experimental models, and it tells you what they are, how often you can get them. It's just a great place to go to learn about the computer models and to see the models. And also Google Earth, it's also one of the things you can do is actually look at some of those images as well. And then there's a Twitter page too. You can follow them on Twitter, and it's called Hurricane Models. So give them a follow too. So that's it, guys.
Kim, that's awesome.
Isn't that an awesome site?
cool.
I just love this
Oh,
site.
yeah.
I forgot about it.
You could literally have a college class around that, just studying those models. I mean, that would be incredible. That would have been incredible.
Think you could
get a master's thesis out of that somehow, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not even that. It would just be fun to look at.
Part of it's got to be if you're a student in Milwaukee, what else, weather-wise.
Exactly. Well, what's really cool is you can
really
see
a whole lot of lake effect snow. It's going east.
Yeah.
What do you do? Well,
I mean, I forgot about Katrina, where I looked at it like early on when it was sent. It was right in South, like between the Keys and South Florida. It was in there. That forecast at one time had it going up through like Alabama, and into the panhandle of Florida. So I kind of remember that, because 05 was nuts at the Weather Channel, but I kind of remember how it was so wrong. And then I'm going more west and then north right into Louisiana. But it's cool to go back and look at some of that. So anyway, that's my weather resource.
Is Dr. Hobgood part of that at all? Anybody? Brady? Dr. Hobgood?
He's part of what? Part of that website? I don't know.
He's a hurricane computer modeler.
I mean, yeah.
But he's not at
maybe, I don't know.
Wisconsin, Milwaukee.
I don't know. But the thing is, he's so crazy about hurricanes. I could see him having his hands in that.
Absolutely.
That's what he lives and breathes.
Awesome. Very cool, Kim. Thank you.
Yeah, cool.
All right. So MJ, you have a one from a listener.
Yeah, we had a listener, Richard Hatton, checked in with us via our email through stormfrontfreaks.com. And he had an idea for a WX resource. Apple just released Watch OS 5 for the Apple Watch. Mm-hmm. And so he says on the new Watch OS 5 for Apple Watch, you are able to see web pages on iMessage. And he says, now I know the Apple Watch has a very small screen, but it can be a resource when you don't have your phone. I was able to get the Weather Underground radar on my Apple Watch 3. Most of the radar apps on the watch aren't very good, though Radar Scope is the best, but the radar loop for it is only 15 minutes. He says the Weather Underground radar can be adjusted from 1 frame to up to 40 frames, or about 2 hours. And he says you can also adjust the zoom. So not ideal, but if that's all you've got with you, with the new Watch OS, Apple Watch OS 5, you can view those right on your watch.
And the next version.
Awesome.
Yeah, as long as you don't need it after the 18 hours and the battery dies.
Well, yeah, there's
no big deal.
And MJ, I heard the next version is going to have the Apple magnifying glass. That's coming.
That would be helpful.
Too, so
oh my god!
For the old parts.
No, they're just going to get bigger. They're just going to get the watches are going to get steadily bigger until they like take up half your arm.
Well, sure, because now the phone is like this big. You got to hold it up to your, And so the watch will now be the size of the old phone.
All right, Richard Hatton, thank you. That was awesome. All right, Phil, you going to finish us out on this one?
Yeah, so I teased this a little bit, what my WX resource was going to be tonight, and this kind of goes for people that like to, are photographers, storm photographers. This is where I've had a lot of fun with this. But it's an app. You can actually download it to your, really you can download it to, whether you have an Android or an iPhone, either one works. And I'm going to give you an example. I don't know if can you guys see this? Fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so this was a picture of me when I was down storm chasing down in Kentucky, and about the only good place I could find was on the river because there's so many stinking hills down there. But I quick took a snapshot of me with some storm clouds in the background. But this is an app. It's called Platoverse. And basically what it is, so Plota, Plato, I don't even know how you pronounce that. Plotaverse?
Plotaverse, I bet.
Yeah.
Plota, and then Verse. So Plotaverse. Mm-hmm. And this is a free app. You can get this on iOS. You can get it on Android. And what it is, it allows you to animate your photos. So I'm going to see if I can pull up another one here that I might have.
Phil, you're standing really still in that picture. That's just impressive.
Well, so the point is it's a photo, and what you can do with the photo is you animate your photo. This is not video, right? So you can animate the photo. So what I'm showing you here is when I was storm chasing out in Oklahoma, and this was a tornado-warned storm that had some circulation to it. But when you take a photo, obviously you don't necessarily see that circulation. But with this app, you can animate any of the portions of the photo in any direction that you want to put it in, so that now I can animate this photo to show what the rotation was looking like. Now it's sped up. Obviously, in this case, it wasn't going that fast, but it just gives you a lot of cool things that you can do with your photos to animate them. And it's just kind of a neat thing. So again, it's called Plotiverse. It is an app. You can also, there is a website too, so you can do this on your computer too. But it's just, there's so much more you can do with it that I haven't even touched.
Make your own storm porn.
Yeah, you could. Yep.
Phil, didn't you talk about making fake photographs early in one of the earlier episodes? Not to do that.
What's that?
Talk about not making fake photographs.
Fake
tornadoes.
You have to do it responsibly.
No, now listen.
Don't tag the National Weather Service.
When I do post them, I do say, "Hey, it's animated. Right. It's an animated photo." I explain that.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
Because here's the thing: I'm not that good with it that you can look at it and go, "Wow, that looks real." Because it does. I'm not that good with it. Okay. I'm totally an amateur hack when it comes to photography and all that.
That last one looked pretty good.
Yeah,
though.
it sure did. That last one was real.
Until you said it wasn't real, I thought it was a video recording. So.
I did too. You're dangerous, Phil.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah.
Don't spread the fake news, Phil.
Exactly. No, I'm not. So anyway, it's a cool app. If you like photos or if you're a storm chaser and you like taking those kind of shots, there's just some fun, cool stuff you can do with those images. Yes, I would encourage you to make sure that, if you post them, you tell people, hey, it's an animated photo. This isn't a real shot of a live tornado or something.
They're not listening, though. You know that.
Yeah. All right. Anyway. So anyway, again, all those resources will be posted on episode 62. Maz, I'm kind of stealing your thunder here.
I appreciate it, actually, yeah.
But anyway, so episode 62 show notes, you can find those either on stormfrontfreaks.com and pull up the episode and then look at the show notes. Or nowadays, if you're listening to us on your favorite podcasting app, a lot of those apps now, you can just pull up the show notes right on your phone or device while you're listening to us. So
is it meme time?
Not quite. We're going to go ahead and take our final break, but stay right here. When we come back, as Matt said, we've got some funny weather memes that you're going to want to share.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. So we did weather resources. Now it's time to go to weather memes. So a lot of you may be wondering, what are weather memes? Well, it's pretty self-explanatory. For those of you that are listening in, we are going to have these. Don't worry, we will have these posted, so you'll be able to see them. For those of you that are watching Raw, we are going to basically go from person to person, and we're going to look up weather memes on the internet, on Twitter, anywhere we can find them. They're just supposed to make you laugh. Who has got our first meme of the night? Phil, take it away.
Angry Brady.
So, wow, I know.
Yeah, that was some energy.
It had a pretty crappy flight or something. I'm not sure what it was. So, hey, I teased mine a little bit. I must admit I teased mine on social media today on Twitter. And mine is a picture of Jim Cantori. Now, in this case, he's actually like in a blizzard or winter scenario. But, he's recently been in the hurricanes as well. But it says, picture of Jim, says, Jim Cantori is like an ex-wife. When he rolls into town, you're probably going to lose everything.
That's a good one.
Terrible.
Poor Jim. And he knows that, too. When he was on the show, he mentioned that. He mentioned the fact that, everybody.
Yeah, they post signs everywhere.
Town, shit's going to hit the fan.
I mean,
yeah.
It is what it is. Well, that was good, Phil. That was very good. Let's go to the meme machine himself,
Meme Machine.
Maz.
Meme
Nice.
machine.
That was a great movie too. Meme Machine. All right, so Saturday is autumn, and so because of that,
It is.
quick,
Yes.
it's
Oh.
fall.
Oh,
Put me in
9:54
everything
a.m.
you eat and drink for the next 3 months.
And everything you eat and drink for the next 3 months. So
That is the truth.
there's a few pumpkins in that picture. There's a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
How
saw
do I ensure?
I saw a tire dealership that had something that said something on their sign out front that said, "Hey, pumpkin rubber is back," or something like that.
half of why I hate fall is pumpkins, Maz.
Oh no.
Okay, pumpkin latte,
Good.
That was
pumpkin
for you.
spice,
Good.
Yeah, it's just did not like
good.
that one.
I do like it.
It's accurate though. It's accurate. All right,
Cats like pumpkin.
they do. You're right. All right, Kim, I hear
Yes.
yours is the best of the best. Let's hear it.
Well, I have to say, I had what Maz had. So
No,
Same
Yes,
one?
I have the same one, the exact same one.
Or
But I bet you have a backup.
So
Yeah,
I
she's
have
got-
about,
she's
I
got
have
10 in her
three
pocket,
other
so it's
ones.
okay.
So I'll find something here.
Oh,
Okay.
you're good.
All
You're
right.
good.
Okay, here we go. So this one, it's a picture, a beautiful picture. It looks like in Vermont with beautiful golden leaves and looking down like a road. Beautiful. And it says, reasons why fall is the best season. Pumpkin everything, sweaters, football, Halloween, beautiful leaves, and bugs return to hell where they come from. So for me, I loved
All
it.
right.
I mean, that to me was awesome. Now I'm going to do one more. And this is for the ladies. And I am this way. It could be as hot as you ever in September, and I'm still going to dress like it's fall. Once it's fall, it's fall. So here's a picture of a girl that has a scarf on. She's putting gloves on. She's got her hat on. She's got a coat on. And her friend, who's wearing shorts and a T-shirt, walks up to her. Looks like she's drinking a nice
Mai Tai. Looks
maybe
like
a Mai Tai or something.
Yeah.
She says, do you know that it's still like 80 degrees out right now? And this girl dressed in her winter clothes says, shut up, it's fall. So we really do that. I mean, I get my boots out in September. It doesn't matter if it's 80 degrees. In our head, it's, meteorological fall. So we dress like this anyway.
Yeah.
That's it.
Jeans and leggings are everywhere.
They are everywhere.
doesn't
Kim, I've seen that. I went out and it was literally like 85 degrees. I was sweating. I see literally some dude in like jeans and he's got like this puffy coat on. I'm like, what are you doing? It's still
my
still
gosh.
hot. I know.
it's
And it
kinda
was
crazy.
yeah.
Well,
It's,
hey, Nebraska was like 103 yesterday. They've got lows 40 to 45 here in the next
oh
few
my
days.
God, stop.
Ooh.
Stop saying those
Ooh.
things. I know it's coming, but I don't want it to come.
Mhm.
All right. That was your weather memes, and we will have all of those on our website under show notes, episode 62, right, Phil?
Episode 62.
All right, big
Nice.
62. All right, back to you, Phil.
All right, and I don't know. It seems like our audience is always quick to clap and applaud, but they don't. They never laugh at any of our jokes. So I'm going to have to talk to our live studio audience and
Yeah.
find out why they're not laughing more often.
It's probably because we don't pay them enough to be.
We got to give them drinks. We got to
Yeah.
give them beer while they come.
Probably.
So, all right, MJ, we'll flip it over to you. Any listener questions, responses to share?
Yeah, as always, we appreciate everybody checking in with us on the various social media platforms and so on. South Dakota Chick says, thank you. Love the podcast show. It rocked. Daniel, thank you for sharing your time with us and being whom you are. Good show and time well spent. Thank you.
No, is it whom or who? Isn't it supposed to be who?
She said whom, so I'm sorry.
I don't know.
After 2 drinks.
What,
No,
I don't
South-
que- I
South
think the
Dakota
question.
Chick, I think you got the wrong
South Dakota
grammar
Chick's
there.
grammar.
No.
Matt McEwen says, bring it on, Daniel. So he was listening as well. Luna Light, a.k.a. Christine, our favorite German listener, says the last show was great. Thank you for having Dan in the podcast. We enjoy his tours and live streams and how he talks to his audience. He was a great guest. We appreciated having him on. And Jeff Beamish says, needed this today. Thanks for the laugh. And he marked it at 104.30 on the last podcast. And I didn't go back, unfortunately, to see what that was. But I think
So
that
Jeff, just so you know, Jeff
Yes.
Beamish was the meteorologist who was involved in one of our Weather Trollbot 5000
that's it. Yep.
comments.
Oh my God.
So I asked him, I think I asked him a question like, how close was the Trollbot in distinguishing what he was really thinking?
Sure.
And I think he just left a emoji with the wink, the winking emoji.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So
Whoa.
I figured that cheap ass Weather Trollbot 5000 we purchased was pretty close.
Yeah, it must
pretty
have been.
close to the mark.
So there you
All
go.
right. Well, good. So, hey, I think that just about does it for this episode of Stormfront Freaks podcast. Thanks for listening and watching. But before I reveal our next guest, if you enjoy our show, do us a favor. Leave us a great review on your podcast app. And don't forget to subscribe to the show by hitting your podcast app subscribe button. It works just like a magazine or newspaper subscription. Just make sure that the latest episode, it'll get delivered right to your podcast app the minute that it's released. You won't have to wait to be able to find it. I do want to give a special thanks to our guest tonight, and I know our crowd does as well, Ed Teets. Tonight, Ed, it was a pleasure having you on and taking the time, so thanks for joining us.
I enjoyed it. Thank you.
And
So our
his
next... Go
his
ahead.
initials are ET. I'm not saying anything about aliens.
What?
Just saying.
Oh my God.
That is a
Conspiracy.
good
Boy, that's
point.
original.
I never heard that one.
Never.
Oh God.
All right, so our next episode in 2 weeks, we will be recording on October 4th. It's going to be with Storm Chaser producer for KOCO TV in Oklahoma City, Michael Armstrong. So he's the one that basically works with all their storm chasers for the station, determines where they're all going to go for the day, and then he's the one that's with them live on the phone to determine where they're at, who's got a good shot, who they're going to go to live on the station. He produces all of that, so it ought to be an exciting show with Michael on. If you'd like to watch the recording live, it'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Again, October 4th. Check our YouTube channel. All you got to do, go to YouTube, search Stormfront Freaks, and you'll find the link right there. So if you want to watch it live, you can. So for MJ and Maz and Brady and Kim and our guest Ed, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to signal the all clear. We're going to catch you guys next time. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks for watching and listening.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Stormfront Freaks podcast. Find our bi-weekly show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. Watch our shows on YouTube and Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV. For show notes, additional information about this episode, as well as past and upcoming shows, videos, photos, merchandise, and more, visit our website at stormfrontfreaks.com. While you're there, check out our live interactive storm chaser radar provided by our friends at zoomradar.com. If you would like to contact us with questions or make comments about the show, shoot us an email to questions@stormfrontfreaks.com or follow us on Twitter or Facebook. Search for Stormfront Freaks. We'd love to hear from you. Join us next time and tell a friend about the Stormfront Freaks podcast.
I was going to say the platform is yours. Go
Oh,
ahead.
I got to
and
tell
share.
you this one. I always tell this one to people because it's still back in Hawaii because we were launching balloons all the time, understanding the meteorology. Anyway, one of the engineers, the following year, we went back and did it again. One of the engineers said, "Hey, we have what we're going to do is we're going to launch a balloon every single day in July." And I said, "Why?" "Oh, we want to understand the trends." "Oh, okay. Yeah, because we want to understand the trends so we can forecast for August." And of course, at that point, I'm just shaking my head going, why waste the money? They're like, "Well, no, we've been here for the last several years and we're seeing trends." I'm like, "No, you're not. You're not really seeing trends. You're imagining that." So they said, "Well, it's already been approved." So they spend $30,000 to launch a balloon every single day. So we get down there on the 1st of August and this person gives a brief and basically says, "Hey, our trends came in. What we found is for every 5 days of good flying weather, we get one bad day. So we're going to extrapolate the next several weeks So we're going to start flying. I can't remember the exact day, August 16th or something like that. So on August 16th is going to be our first flight day. I'm like, okay. And everybody's like, you agree, Ed? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, that analysis for July for August doesn't mean it.
No, it doesn't.
So August 16th comes. The weather was so bad, I golfed the next 10 days.
Wow.
And they just kept asking me, what's going on here, Ed? I'm like, I don't know. Talk to the engineer. They did the weather.
Wow.
Oh.